Dealing with stupid people? Stop doing this. You're mid-sentence, explaining something for the third time, and somewhere in the back of your head, a quiet voice says, they still don't get it. But you finish the sentence anyway. That's not patience. That's a habit you haven't examined yet. Everyone has someone like this in their life. Someone who misses the point constantly. Someone who asks the same question you answered yesterday. Someone who takes a 5-step process and turns it into a catastrophe by step 2. And the moment they do, you feel it. That small spike of frustration, followed immediately by the urge to explain, to clarify, to try again. So you do, and nothing changes. And the next time, you do it again. Here's what no one tells you about dealing with stupid people. The word dealing is already the problem. Because dealing implies management, ongoing contact, ongoing effort, ongoing investment. You've framed this as something that requires a strategy, but you haven't asked the more uncomfortable question yet. Why are you still there? Not as a judgment, genuinely. Because most people who find themselves constantly frustrated by someone they consider difficult are also the same people who cannot walk away. They explain again. They adjust the wording. They try a different angle. They leave frustrated, then come back with a cleaner metaphor. That's not dealing with someone. That's chasing something. What you're chasing, and you might not want to hear this, is the moment they finally get it. The moment your explanation lands. The moment they look at you and go, oh, okay, I understand now. That moment isn't about them. That moment is about you. And somewhere, some part of them knows that. Think about what actually happens every time you re-explain. What are you confirming? That their confusion is your problem to solve. Every time you rephrase instead of walking away, what are you training them? That your patience has no ceiling. That if they wait long enough, you'll circle back. That your time will always be available for them. That's not kindness. That's a behavioral contract you signed without reading it. And this is where it starts getting uncomfortable. The behavior you need to stop. It's not anything dramatic. It's not confrontation. It's not argument. It's something quieter, smaller, something you've been doing so automatically, you stopped noticing it. It's the explaining. Every explanation you give to someone who isn't equipped to receive it, or worse, someone who simply isn't motivated to receive it, is a withdrawal from your own mental energy. And you've been making that withdrawal so consistently, you think it's just what managing difficult people looks like. It's not managing. It's depletion with extra steps. Actually, no, let me rephrase that. It is management. But management isn't the same as resolution. You've been managing an open wound instead of closing it. And every time you explain again, you're just changing the bandage. There's a specific kind of frustration that builds from this. Not the loud, explosive kind. The quiet kind. The slow-building kind. The kind that ends with you venting to someone else afterward. I genuinely don't understand how they function. I don't understand how they don't see this. And there's a small satisfaction in that vent. Notice that, because what just happened in that vent, in that conversation, is the same thing that happens every time you explain. You got to be the smart one, the clear one, the reasonable one. You got to exist, briefly, in contrast. And that contrast, that gap between you and them, is something you've been protecting, not solving. Here's the darker layer. Some people who spend years dealing with stupid people don't actually want those people to get smarter. Because if they did, if that person suddenly developed clarity, started making sharp decisions, stopped being a problem, the whole dynamic collapses. The one who's been patient loses their identity as the patient one. The one who's been explaining has nothing left to explain. That sounds extreme, and for most people, it's not fully conscious. But you've had moments, small moments, where someone you'd mentally written off said something sharp, made a good call, figured something out on their own. And instead of feeling relieved, you felt something else. Something you moved past, quickly, without naming it. That feeling has a name. You just didn't sit with it long enough to find it. So what's the thing to actually stop doing? Most people clicking this expected the answer to be stop getting angry. Stop lowering yourself to their level. Stop wasting energy on people who don't deserve it. And sure, fine. That's all reasonable advice. But it's also completely surface level. The deeper thing to stop is the covert contract. The covert contract is the invisible agreement you make with yourself. I will keep trying, keep explaining, keep investing, and in return, eventually, this person will validate that effort. They'll get it. They'll change. They'll acknowledge, even silently, that you were right. They won't. Not necessarily because they're incapable, but because they never agreed to that contract. You wrote it alone. You signed both sides, and this is where the loop closes on you. Because once you've invested that much, time, energy, explanation after explanation, walking away feels like failure, like you're giving up, like you're the problem for losing patience. So you stay, you adjust your approach, you try once more, and the loop runs again. Correction, not always, but often enough that you're watching this right now. The person you're frustrated with isn't running a scheme. They're not strategically wearing you down. They're just existing, just being. And you have built an entire emotional architecture around their inability to meet your expectations. You are carrying weight they never asked you to carry. And every time you explain again, you pick it up heavier. None of this is about being cold. Let's be clear. None of this is permission to dismiss people or decide they're beneath effort. Some situations require explanation. Some people are worth the patience. But there's a question underneath all of that, and it's a simple one. Is your involvement actually changing anything? Not in theory, not in the version of events where they eventually come around. Actually, concretely, over time, when you look at the pattern, honestly. If the answer is no, and you already know what the answer is, then every explanation after that point isn't effort. It's ritual. It's something you perform because you don't know what else to do with the frustration. And doing something feels better than admitting the situation is static. You felt the disproportionate irritation. That moment where what they just said was small, minor even, but the reaction inside you was huge. That's not about what they said. That's about the weight of every previous time stacked underneath it. That's the accumulated cost of a contract you kept honoring, while they stayed exactly the same. Look, some people operate at a different level. That's real, and it's not going away. But the problem was never that they were at that level. The problem is, you decided their level was your responsibility. And the thing to stop doing isn't a behavior. It's a belief. The belief that your clarity is owed to them, that your patience is obligated, that if you find the right words, the right tone, the right moment, something will finally shift. It won't. You've known that for longer than you're comfortable admitting. So the real question isn't how to deal with them. The real question is, what are you getting out of continuing to try? Because if you're honest, actually honest, not the version you'd say out loud, there's something there. Maybe it's a sense of superiority that only exists in contrast to their confusion. Maybe it's the need to be the one who didn't give up. Maybe it's the fear that walking away means all that time was wasted, and wasted time is harder to accept than a difficult person. Whatever it is, that's the thing worth sitting with. Not them. You've spent a long time analyzing their limitations. Maybe it's time to get uncomfortable about yours.